Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of EETV, where we strive to bring you everything and entertainment. Excuse my audio because I'm still getting over a quite nasty cold. This is the first day I got my voice back. So let's begin with the analysis of Chainsaw Man, episode 4. I generally like this episode. I like how each episode is picking up directly after the previous episode, and I'll just point out a couple things that someone who has only watched the anime have noticed so far. That Denji is still having some dog-like characteristics when he was staying at the apartment, and when Power first shows up at the apartment, he's on all fours like a dog before she starts banging on the door before he stands up. I've noticed that. I've also noticed, look at his tenacity that he has and how much Pochita has increased his speed, his strength, and his durability, even when he is not in his Chainsaw Man form. You're clearly able to see when we get into the breakdown of this video how he's able to withstand hits and even still land attacks, even though he is gravely injured, and because he lost so much blood, he wasn't able to fully transform into his Chainsaw Man form. So with that being said, and we also, before I forget, we also got into some rather interesting things about Power as well. So let's begin and let's get into the breakdown of this episode. We got a glimpse on how Power used to live before she was employed by Division 4. She was dining on birds. Next, she dined on some cows. And then she eventually moved up to predators like bears. Now, I found that quite interesting how she started off with smaller creatures and worked her way up the ladder. I guess her being new to the world because she's a fiend now. But having seen this, it shows how Denji's life almost mirrored hers, except she wasn't employed by the Yakuza, but they were pretty much going through the same thing. You know, this scene here, you see how malnourished both her and Meowie was when they first met, and then we get a cut back to how they're doing now, which completely matches the manga panel when Denji's holding her in the arms and all, when they're surrounded by the eviscerated guts of the Bat Devil. And we get into the rest of the episode, and we see that Denji has earned his reward, but the Bat Devil's girlfriend shows up, the Leech Devil, and she wants revenge. She eats Denji's arm, and they are ready for a fight. Now, I did like how this fight showed up, and I like how they really stuck with the mythos, how he wasn't able to fully go into Chainsaw Man form because he lost too much blood, and he just finished a rather taxing fight. But what you see here, having him being thrown against a building and already been able to withstand some of her attacks, even after having his arm blown off, you can see how Pochita has increased his speed, his strength, and his durability, even though he is not able to currently go into Chainsaw Man mode fully because of his loss of blood and because of fatigue. Now, I enjoyed this battle a lot because you really got to see what he's made of. He didn't even show any fear. You know, he just basically asked Power, was she able to move? And she said no, and he realized that he had to basically keep the Leech Devil's attention on him until he could figure out something of a plan, or until he was just able to slay the Leech Devil himself. But I do like and I like how Denji used the old maneuver from Hoth from Star Wars, using the intestines to trip up the Leech Devil. I really enjoyed that part, and I also enjoyed how he got pissed off how everybody's making fun of his goals. And one thing I noticed in that scene there that you saw real fast, you could tell Pochita, you still know that Pochita is still in him, but you got to see a little bit more of Pochita's physical characteristics right there, and his right eye looks more like Pochita's did right now, and his left eye looks more like how it is normal now. And he kind of looks like Pochita a little bit because the chainsaw is about almost the same length as Pochita's is. When he was outside of Denji, Aki Harikawa shows up and saves the day, summoning the Fox Devil, and takes a bite out of the Leech Devil. And Division 4 saves the day again. I like this. That one's definitely going to be meme worthy. Well, Denji wakes up in the hospital. Him and Aki have an understanding, and Denji tells Aki how he is serious about the job, and they form a rapport. Even though they still have kind of a little bit of a rivalry, at least they understand each other now. So Aki goes to see Makima, and he basically tells Makima how everything is fine, and he does a little bit of covering for Denji and Power, and tell her that everything's going to be fine. But in turn, Makima has quite a little bit of a plan for Aki, since he has such a rapport with everybody, and we'll see that soon. So now in the next scene, which I really enjoyed, we got to see a little bit of Aki Harikawa's just daily life and what he does when he's not at work. Wakes up 7 in the morning, gets up out of bed, opens the curtains, lets the fresh air in. So he's just like a regular guy, even though he hunts devils for a living, that he's just going about the things that everybody else does. Wakes up, gets everything going, watches his face. And I want to know if that was any significance, having that water in a heart formation. I guess not. But I didn't know also that that Ari that he uses Aquafresh as well. That's what that toothpaste looked like to me. And I also grind my coffee beans as well. So I like his character. I really do, how he's just straightforward and getting the job done. I really enjoy Aki's character. And just seeing him do the slice of life stuff, that's a little treat for me, especially since I've only watched the anime. And you see his vice there, that he does smoke, and you kind of think that he wouldn't, since he's so straight-laced, but it's also see that he's kind of cool as well. It's just good to see a little bit further look into his life and how he cares about his appearance and his apartment, and how he does things in such a straight-laced manner. I really, really respect that. You see how Denji's like his kid brother, but also like the dog, because he's up there eating all that unhealthy stuff, and they're asking what they're going to have for lunch, and he said curry, and he's all excited about that. But when Power shows up, it's quite remarkable. And like I said before, another scene, Denji was acting like the dog because he's on all fours, and then he pops up. So I guess since he does have Pochita as a part of him, some of his mannerisms might take place, and him being able to receive his reward from Power got him all excited about being able to fondle certain things. Really shows he still has his human side intact as well. Some of the other things that I purposely did not show, because I didn't know whether or not my channel would get in trouble for it. Just some things that Power did that people found a little bit disgusting as well. That both Aki and Denji are telling Power, since Makima has decided that he has such a great rapport with everybody and basically can keep people in line, that Power has to now stay with Denji and Aki, since he has a spare room. So he has a 3-room apartment, and they're all going to be roommates now. We got to see early on how Power lived. You see she basically didn't bathe. She was a devil that became a fiend, so she didn't care about bathing. All she cared about was getting something to eat and her pet cat. So now they're telling her she has to use the bathroom, and she said, well, I only like to bathe occasionally. Like, ugh. And then it's just like, and then they walk into the bathroom, and there's like rolls of toilet paper stuffed into the toilet, and it's like, well, you gotta flush down. Like, well, I only like to flush my stuff down occasionally. It is like they have to train her. And it's funny how these people, like these 2 humanoid people with all these supernatural powers, have some kind of pet quality to them. And like I said in my last episode analysis is that she's more like the cat, and it's like they have to train her like, no, don't go to the bathroom like that, you go to the bathroom like this. You can't just leave all your stuff here. You have to, conduct yourself in a certain way, minus the bathing part, because cats are very clean and Power is not. So I enjoyed this episode, how it ended more on a light ended part, and I'm interested to see, and like I said, I'm going to follow up with this. I'm interested to see how the manga and anime play off of one another, and what did they do in the manga that they didn't do in the anime, and vice versa. Well, I thank you for tuning in this episode analysis of Chainsaw Man. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel like it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.